Jurian asking, do you recommend being a writer for a living? Well, that depends. Do you enjoy writing? And do you enjoy not making a lot of money? I do a lot of things. I'm a senior editor over at The Escapist. That includes writing articles. That also includes curating content, editing a lot of content, contracting content. Writing was a passion of mine, and I suppose still is, otherwise I wouldn't be doing it. But apart from that, writing is not where you make a lot of money. Let's just be clear here. There's not a lot of money in writing. Do it if you're passionate about it, though. Follow your passions. Apart from that, I do freelance graphic design. There's a lot more money in that, I suppose. I think the issue with writing is that people tend to undervalue how much to pay a writer, because everyone kind of feels like, well, I could write words, so writing, I don't put value in writing. Anyone could write. Whereas, like, designing a graphic is something that a lot of people don't, have no idea where to begin. But really, they're both equally difficult, arguably. I mean, you could recognize really strong writing, and I'm not claiming to have really strong writing. I think I'm a decent writer. I'm not one of the greats. I'm no Hemingway. I'm no, but if writing is your passion, then go for it. You can try to pursue a career in that. And just see also what life has to offer to you. Be open to opportunities that come your way. I've been following a very circuitous path that has been keeping me happy, though. I would never have expected that I would be doing today what I am doing, but I'm happy doing it. 10 years ago, my objective was to work for Blizzard as a writer, as a someone who would work on the lore and the stories and such. And that's how I got my start in the video game industry. Or rather, that's why I got my start in the video game industry. Once I got out of university, basically, with a degree in science, which I guess now I'm technically putting to use as I do science and technology for The Escapist. But, what was I saying? Yeah, so anyone who has a passion in say, getting into the video game industry, I don't know whether I would advise for it or against it, but basically I was looking for job opportunities, and I found one writing game walkthroughs. I didn't know at the time, but it was for Gamefront.com, which was formerly Filefront.com, which I was aware of that website from my Unreal Tournament days, where Unreal Tournament 3 days, where it was used as a file hosting service for mods. It was the biggest site for mods. So I got a gig there, and I just wanted to get my foot in the door in the video game industry, because how do you sort of segue from a background in science, a degree in science, no writing credentials, how do you segue that into a writing job in the video game industry? So I just wanted to get my foot in the door in the video game industry in something writing related. From there, make contacts, because something that I refused to acknowledge when I was a lot younger was the whole mentality, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And I always believed that as long as you were good at what you did, and you had qualifications and credentials, then you could be successful and you could pursue your path. The problem with that is that if no one notices you, well, that's not going to help you. So it's not to say that connections are everything, but they are a big thing. People are more likely to hire people that they know or have heard of because there's some sense of familiarity, and that gives them some comfort over hiring something that they don't know that is a complete wild card. So it does help to make connections. And I did that. And in fact, some of my freelance graphic gigs today are thanks to the connections that I made while working for Gamefront. I was hooked up with a job through a connection through my old boss at Gamefront, who's now working outside of the video game industry, and the graphics I'm doing are nothing related to video games, but thanks to that connection I made, I was doing graphics for Gamefront, so he sent me along as a referral. So, really just follow what your interests are and be open to what opportunities present themselves to you. There are people, this is one guy I knew that I met a few years ago, and he just seemed to lead an amazing life full of all these awesome opportunities that he had. And we met him in a clan, and everyone was sort of like, very impressed with him and wondering, how do you get these opportunities? And at the end of the day, the opportunities are all around us. We just have to learn to recognize them and be open to them and to saying yes when everyone else in the world says no. So this is very far from being Diablo related and very far from from answering the original question from Hazue about asking what if I'm a writer, or someone asked, who was it? Do you recommend being a writer? I'll stop pontificating at this point here. It was Hazue asking, yeah. Guitar Mike asking actually a great question. Let's talk, I don't know if it's IRL or IRI for a minute. He found a job close by, but I know nothing about cars. It's at a place like AutoZone. Any advice on how to go in on this job? Kind of off topic. I'm full of cliched expressions, but fake it till you make it. And, I mean, obviously, don't just be a complete bullshit asshole, but do your best to get to bone up on whatever you need to know. But if you don't feel confident in this position, in this job, then your boss isn't going to feel confident in you. So feel confident that you can do it, that you have the qualifications and the capacities, and while you may lack a certain degree of knowledge, some very smart business people have said they would rather hire someone who has a passion for learning and a passion for the job and a strong desire to learn and to be a good employee and to progress into that field, than someone who has all the qualifications but isn't super enthused, is kind of just, this is a paycheck for me. Because here's the thing. Knowledge can be taught. Experience can be acquired. Skills can be trained. What can't be trained and ingrained in someone is passion and enthusiasm and work ethic. So if you can present that and bring that into your job, you will make yourself a valuable employee and show how you can be an asset to that company. And it's okay if you're not the most experienced or you have the most knowledge, but as long as you have that passion and that desire to improve, that's going to go a long way towards ingratiating yourself towards your bosses and ensuring your future success in this career and others. Whatever's going to either come from this, beyond this. Even if this doesn't work out, for instance, you might meet people along the way that are going to be impressed by you. Because who knows, maybe your current boss is someone who's a low achiever and he's going to feel threatened by you, or for whatever reason doesn't like you, he's an asshole, decides to let you go. Maybe you met a sub-manager, co-manager, or even just a client, someone somewhere might see and might recognize you and your potential and be open to presenting you with future opportunities somewhere down the road. Bingo. So as Nestor is saying, he's saying, I know exactly what you're talking about. Everyone thinks that they can just use their phone and take pictures. It's like so many people say, oh yeah, I have a novel in me, or I want to write a novel someday. It's just a matter of, it's just a matter of writing it. I have it all in my head. It's just a matter of writing it. Yeah, that little matter of writing it is probably the... You're not a writer until you're writing. That's what a writer does. A writer writes. Until you're writing, you're not a writer. You can come up with ideas, and that's all great. And it's great that you would want to write a story. But do it. Do it. And then you're a writer. Sir Merlin, I like that. Don't expect to be an expert. Expect to become one. I like that. This is G saying, my supervisor hates me so much, he tried to get me fired. Well... some people are just assholes, is something you gotta deal with in life. Rise above and trust that things work. In my experience, I hate to, I'm not gonna say karma or whatever, but have faith that the people who can recognize your potential, let's say there's a boss above your supervisor, and he's a good boss, and he does his job well, and your supervisor is just an asshole who's trying to, hide all the good work you're doing or whatever. If the boss is a good boss, then he will recognize what's going on. And if he's not a good boss, then you don't want to be working there anyway, so whatever.